So this is all the comics I got this month, part 1, and I might just do a part 2. Because October 31st is when I'm going to be finishing the last of the Image books. And then that video I may just upload also on October 31st, so some of them could be fresh in my memory. Fresh in my memory. The problem is I have plans on October 31st. In fact, I would have added more Image books, but I didn't. And some of them I even finished earlier. And some of them I really thought of finishing earlier because I don't even know if I'm kind of I want to have the least amount of comics to read, but still have like 5 at most, or nothing more than 10 to read on October 31st. 5 at the least, 10 at the most, is what I meant to say. Because again, I have plans. It's not till late-ish in the night, like 8:30. It's late for some of you guys watching this video, honestly. But that's why I was kind of like, yeah, maybe on October 31st I'll do, because I want to have consistent uploads. So I'll have one Wednesday. I want to take Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So 4 days in a row, because again, 4th day is November 1st, and it'll be complete comic haul for the month of October. That's what November 1st video will be. First of the month, unless the books are being annoying and coming in later, always is complete comic haul for the previous month. Anyways, let's get into it. This is part 1. The only one that's missing is, well, I'll say after. This first one is finally, I found out this book maybe 2 to 3 months ago at most. This is Crossroad Blues, a Nick Travers graphic novel, written by Ace Atkins with artwork by Marco Finnegan. The cover is done by Chris Bruner. Now, this one, you'll see into your artwork before I forget. This one was not only the other blues comic I was trying to remember back when I showed off Deep Cuts, but this is also one of those, this is the only thing the author has written, as I thought at first. First of all, I thought it was the only thing the author had written in general. Then I realized how stupid that was, because this is a graphic novel adaptation of one of his books. So obviously he's written shit before he wrote this. Now then I thought, this is the only thing he's done for Image, because I looked it up online on the League of Comic Geeks, and they showed this one, and honestly they probably showed 2. Not 1, but 2. And I found out, oh shit, actually at the bottom here, there is one more book I needed. Now, this is co-published, technically, by 12 Gauge Comics. Whoopsies, 12 Gauge Comics, which is an imprint of Image Comics. And on Amazon, if you want to get the physical copy of Last Fair Deal Gone Down, it says it's being published by 12 Gauge. But the Kindle version is Image. And the Kindle version was $7.99. I was like, screw it, I'll get it. I didn't want to get 13 trades this month. That's what would have happened. Now, there are technically 13 units, but I include, you'll see what I mean. One book is a box set. And the box set, I don't include the box set as a unit. It's how many units are inside the box set that counts. So it's not 13. But even then, I couldn't escape that because the trade is to be 13. It's like, you know what, let's keep it at 12 trades plus some floppies. So I can, if there's anything I can call it, so now I can call it Comic and Graphic Novel Haul. Side note. But also, I didn't want to be like, oh, technically, nope, I'm not doing that. Alright, yeah, Crossroad Blues, Nick Travers, all the things I said before. OGN, by the way. This is also an OGN, and this is Superstar As Seen on TV, written by Kurt Busiek. Only reason why I got this, he makes a crossover in Free Agents, a book I got a few months ago. Comic series I got a few months ago. And even that graphic novel, like, even this graphic novel, I got just so late. You know, I could have gotten it last month. There's like $10. It was one of those books I was like, do I really need it? And even then, I could have gotten same price. I could have gotten the other Nick Travers book and sacrificed this for another month. Had I known back then, I should have looked it up. I can't get any better at that, because this happened twice now. At least twice now. Yeah, I would have thrown this one away and replaced it with the other book. But on the Kindle, I hate having comics on the Kindle when it's like, well, the physical copy is available and affordable. Alright, yeah, Stuart Immonen is the penciler. Wade Von Grabadger is the inker, and Jeremy Cox is the colorist. It's Jeremy, but with an O-M-Y instead of E-M-Y. So I say Jeremy. And then I want to see if it says anything about... It does not. I know it collects the one-shot. Nothing else after that, I don't think. Here is the artwork for Superstar. Kurt Busiek is a writer I am super split on. I can name on one hand, not even one hand, how many comics of his I've read. And even Trinity, I read it for the most recent time, and I was like, it's not my cup of tea at all. I probably will be giving a second chance soon here, but not, honestly, this coming month. I probably won't be adding any Kurt Busiek books. You'll see why. Soon enough here. On November 1st. So I'll have 2 uploads on November 1st. And then I guess I'll push back to November 2nd. Push back the Image books Image books that I read this month. So there's 2 Image books. First of all, the comic hauls are all from Image. Unless I say otherwise. But usually, that's what I'm trying to do. That's how I budget, is at the very least, it's all the same publisher, and I chose Image. But also, I'll read some of my PC from Image Comics, and that video, and I do that every month. So the next month, same as comic hauls, will be all the Image comics I've read the previous month. I dedicate an entire video to all the Image books I've read this month. Hopefully, at the end of the year, I gather the courage to take up 50,000 comics off my shelves. They're all in different places on my shelf. That's gonna be a doozy of a video, and I don't know if I want to do that. Maybe if I get, if I know people are gonna watch it, I'll do it, because it's a lot of shit to do for 30 views, no comments, and 2 likes. I know people have seen it, so a good example is every other video besides that, that'd be worth it. 30 views, 2 likes, I know people watched it, I know people liked it, but comments the big thing. And I hate to be a dick, but if I'm going over 50 plus comics, why the fuck can't anyone say anything? And not just great picks. I'm sorry to be a dick again, that's not enough for me. And I'm just saying because it's a lot to take out. It's like doing this is why I canceled my spring and summer comic haul. I would do my comic hauls as normal, 12 months of the year, but then twice a year, I would do fall and winter and spring and summer of that year. I like doing it, and it was worth it because it was a live stream too, so I'd have people talking with me on the live stream. But because of work, and because of how much work, so it's a pun and not a pun intended, so pun intended and not intended, because of how much work that takes, and because I have work, I had to unfortunately cancel that series. And that's for a different reason than is for the Image books I read for the entirety of 2025. That's just because there's a lot to take out of my shelf. And it's the same. It is the same as the spring, summer, fall, winter. Is always because it takes a lot to take out. That's more than that. And honestly, I can get it on the same level. So it'd be like if I did that again, you know. So I don't know if I'll be doing that, but I do like keeping track of it regardless. Because if anything, maybe what I'll do is I'll do like top 10, like the best of the best that I read that year from Image. Maybe I'll do that. Honestly, the more I'm thinking of it right now, the more it's a great idea. So maybe I'll do a live stream on that. Like I'll do a live stream all the Image books I read this year. I don't know. It's not the end of the year yet. And again, I'm not saying to be sounding like a dick. I'm just saying it because YouTube, and I don't blame any of you guys for doing that. I blame YouTube. There are definitely potential subscribers of mine who would go above and beyond to make me feel appreciated. I do feel appreciated. I have 421 subscribers. I get consistent enough views and likes. It's the comments mean so much more to me because that's how I know I'm part of a community. That's why I made the move that's why I added Instagram to my comic book talk, you know? Because over there I have a bit more luck. Again, not trying to blame you guys, it's YouTube if anything. That's who I blame. Not you guys, but YouTube. Because again, there definitely are potential subscribers of mine that would converse with me about comics and give me comments and all that, like all the shit that I want out of them, and YouTube doesn't reach out to them, which is really annoying. The algorithm sucks. Anyways, moving on. Next up is Bug Wars by Jason Aaron with artwork by Mahmoud Asrar, colored by Matthew Wilson, which is a much better name to pronounce, much easier name to pronounce. Now this month and next month and a little bit of last month were a whole bunch of finally the trades are coming out for this series. Bug Wars, we finally got Volume 1. Next month we're finally getting Gehenna Naked Aggression by Patrick Kindlin, and The Mummy, which it's out now if you are fortunate enough to have a comic shop near you that will definitely have it in their stock. I don't, fortunately. And many others. This month, next month, and here's actually another one that I was excited for this month. A new release for trades. Oh, sorry. Okay, we went a little bit too fast. This one collects Bug Wars 1 through 6. In a pretty thick trade. I honestly want to say it said at first it was 128 pages, but it got bumped up to 208. Because I remember being shocked when I saw that. I actually think it was 176 before. And that was when it was like first solicited way back in the day. I remember like it was yesterday. I remember exactly what I was doing when I saw it. It's kind of funny. Anyways, G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, The Silence Missions. Volume 1. So by silent missions, they mean quite literally, there's no dialogue whatsoever. For this entire trade, each one-shot issue has no dialogue whatsoever. I could knock this out in an hour, if I so desired to. Now, do I want every graphic novel to be like that? God, no. But I think it's the perfect palate cleanser, like, through and through, the perfect palate cleanser when you read something that's super wordy, like a Silver Age, like something from the 1940s to the 1990s. That's super wordy. Some less than others, obviously. Silver Age is going to have more dialogue than something from the 1980s, late 80s. But even late 80s comics had a lot of fucking dialogue. And this is a nice palate cleanser. And by palate cleanser, I mean something that's going to take you a half an hour to read it at the most, instead of an hour to read it at the most. And that, honestly, at the least, for Silver Age, for me, it takes an hour for me to read like one issue of Amazing Spider-Man by Stan Lee. I almost said Stephen King. That would be cool. But one issue of Stan Lee's Spider-Man takes me an hour to read. And that's double the time, more than double the time, if you go by technicalities, that takes me to read an average comic. Average comic issue, 20 to 30 minutes. 30 minutes is it's pushing it. 30 minutes is usually if it's a bit more wordy, a bit longer. Like instead of 23 pages, it's 32. That will take me a half hour to read. But average time is 20 minutes. But anyways, G.I. Joe. So this volume collects silent missions, issues. Can't tell. Okay, so here. Okay, so first of all, you got the silent interlude from the classic era of, which I believe is issue 21 of the Larry Hama series. Then you got Beachhead, Jinx, Duke, Spirit, and Roadblock one-shots. All collected in this weirdly printed trade. What do you mean by weirdly printed? Well, it's newsprint, like back in the day newsprint. So the pages are pretty wavy, and the trade feels much lighter than your average trade does. So technically kind of cheaply made. If anything, it reminds me of the Marvel Essentials, if you guys remember that far back. I just know of them because my comic shop would have them way back in the day. The early days of me collecting comics. I think actually every comic shop that I went to had that, and it was in my area. They had those Marvel Essentials. And they're black and white, cheaply printed comics. I hated seeing because I was like, some unfortunate kid is getting that for Christmas, and it's not gonna be. He's gonna have to do his own coloring. What a pain in the ass! I am very particular. You will see how particular I am. later on in this comic haul with how I read my comics. But this is not that bad. This isn't as cheap as the Marvel Essentials. It just reminds me of that kind of printing. And it's a nice way of, because like, you can't feel a print, obviously, unless you have to trade yourself, of the feel of this trade. This feels thicker. This feels heavier. And this is just a thinner trade. This is the Shadow Planet, and first and foremost, a little wavy on the back here. I hated that. But is it showing the book itself? We determined that? No, it doesn't. Barely. Cool. If you're gonna have that weird ass wavy feeling, the borderline water damaged feel to your trade, I guess the worst thing you can have it, or I guess at best, it's just a back cover. All right. I said that very awkwardly. I hope you guys know what I meant by that. Anyways, Shadow Planet, written by. Story is by Julanka. I'm just gonna show you this. And I know Giovanni was the first name to the other guy, but here is the credits page. Those two guys, if you don't recognize them, that's because they haven't written much for comics. And it almost looks like doing the 2-page spread here. There's no dialogue. Let's see, that's the case. I doubt it's the case. It's not the case. See? This is one that just kind of snuck up on me. There's one next month that's also, ironically enough, same size, same price as this is. And it's another new release. But this one just kind of snuck up on me. And I was like, alright, let's get this one. Only thing either of these guys done for Image Comics at the very least, screw it, we're getting this book. And it's an all-in-one book, so one shot. Same as Superstar. And yes, I should have done those back-to-back. I don't know why I didn't. Knights vs. Samurai. Written by David Dastmalchian, who starred in one of the most underrated movies of 2024, The Devil... Come on, this devil... Not the devil in me, not the devil inside. Late Night with the Devil. Late Night with the Devil. Such an underrated movie. Like, a crazy good movie. Everyone... I implore everyone to watch that movie. But he wrote his own comic series that unfortunately looks like it only is going to have one trade. It does say Volume 1, but it looks like only getting issues 1 through 6. Maybe it's on hiatus. According to Image Comics, it's canceled. That's a website, and I did some research. Turns out it can say canceled even if it's on hiatus. So, I don't know. But the OCD person in me that usually takes up about 90% of me is saying, yay, that's got canceled, so this is all of it in one. Awesome. But the other part of me is saying, well, the part of me that likes to have a definitive story being told to me is kind of like, well, maybe let's pray that comes back. Maybe just a little bit, you know. 1 through 6 is collected in here, and it's written by David Dastmalchian, but the artwork is done by Federico Millet, and colorist is Ulysses Areola. I know it's not how you say his last name, but that's how I'm going to say his last name. And Japanese translation by Teresa Matsura, which is kind of weird to think about. Kind of weird to think because of all, it's not like David Dastmalchian didn't do isn't a Japanese man. There's got to be something in here that's translated. That's probably what it is. Probably like a textbook or something like that. Like it's like probably one of those kinds of comics or those kinds of stories. And the Japanese textbook says translated by that guy. I don't know. That's pretty cool though if that's the case. Okay, 19 minutes. Come on. Trying so goddamn hard to make this a short video and I failed. Alright. Let's do a little speed round. Bitterroot Volume 4. Finally, this comes out. This stuck up on me. It's just like, oh, we're coming back at Bitterroot, and I was like, great. And I have to wait for the trade, because my trade reader, I'm never, ever getting back to the floppy game, no matter how many Absolute Batmans come out. I can't get back into that game. I'll be a trade waiter, and screw it, I'll miss out on some comics. Who the fuck cares? I care. But at the end of the day, who the fuck cares? Because again, it's like, well, you're missed out on these Batmans from 1980s, 70s, 60s, 50s, 40s. You're not gonna be able to read every Batman comic, every Superman comic, and every comic in general. So make some sacrifices, and I'm fine with that because I have that mentality right now, and I'm fine with it. I bite my tongue every time they talk about Absolute Batman and all those Absolute series, knowing I can just get those if I just scrolled away some extra money, but no, I can't. Maybe on the Kindle, yes, but if they have a sale at the end of the year. But other than that, gonna have to pray gonna have to pray my local library gets a copy. Anyways, this collects 1 through 5 at the next movement, which is also ironically enough what Volume 4 is subtitled. It's Bitterroot Volume 4, the next movement, written by David Walker, and there's a bend here, and Chuck Brown. It's a bend all the way here. I'm just noticing this blemish. Okay, written by David Walker and David F. Walker, Chuck Brown, and artwork is Sanford Green, with Matt Herms being the colorist. It's so annoying. Here's the artwork for Bitterroot. I do actually have the hardcover for the hardcover omnibus, and yeah, my copy is when I finally get back to reading Bitterroot. When I pick up that omnibus, I'm gonna be super careful with it because that printing was not the best printing for an omnibus. Anyways, this one should not count as a graphic novel, but it should. They do call this Dracula, a storybook portfolio by J.H. Williams III. Because what this is it's just the original Dracula with pictures on the side. So the original text right here, I believe it is the original text. I don't think it's translated or updated at all, with artwork here, which I think is really cool. But this one took me forever to finally bite the bullet and purchase. Because I was kind of like, what's the point? It did not. I was kind of like, eh. But then I decided at the end of the day, let's get it. Why not? Here's the box set book, and this is Barrier. Also, it is a segue to what I was mentioning before about the types of comics I don't like. And this is widescreen comics. Why don't I like widescreen comics? I don't want to read a comic the way I read a calendar. And this is a perfect way of explaining it. So this is issues 1 through 5 collected in this box set. We have issues 1, 2. I'm pretty sure that Dracula book, it was all J.H. Williams. 3, like colorist, maybe someone different, but 4 and 5. And I'll show the artwork for issue 1. I tried to make this video short. Problem is, Problem is that I just mentioned the same shit I'm gonna mention tomorrow. I feel the need to mention it right now. Some of it was necessary. I will definitely give credit where it's due. Yes, here is the artwork for Barrier, written by Brian K. Vaughan, with artwork by Marcos Martin. This one was out of print on Amazon, so I thought for the longest time I've never owned this book, and that was a hardcover, not a box set kind of book. Yeah, maybe the colorist is Munza Vincente, but I think he's the letterist. I don't know if faux show. Yeah, this is cool. I will admit that I do like the presentation, like what they're going for, but it's also kind of annoying. Now I could read like this, like a regular comic book, but I can't do that. And that isn't as much of a pain. This will not be as much of a pain to read because it's still the size of your average comic book, just presented in a different way. Marvel Comics did this all the time with their comics. Every now and then they'd have an issue where you had to read the opposite way, like a centerfold. And they have like in the 90s they always did these centerfolds, 2-page spreads. So I am fine with reading this comic like a centerfold throughout the 5-issue miniseries. I mean, thankfully it's only 5 issues, but there are times where, and this is why it took me forever to get some of these comics, There are times where this kind of pisses me off. And why is this not going in the way it should? Just leave it out of the box set for now. We're wasting time. Alright. Then we have Stand Still by Lee Luthridge. Written and drawn, I do believe. No, yeah, sorry. Story in color. He's the colorist turned writer, by the way. Art for issues 1 through 4 is Andrew Robinson. 4 through 8 is Alex Regal. And Rob... Oh, okay. So it's 4 through 8. So it's only an 8-issue miniseries, I guess? I don't know. That was 10 issues. But yeah, so first of all, it's going to be insulting. It's going to be impossible for me to do this justice. But this is why I don't like widescreen comics. Reading this is a pain in the ass. It's cool, a cool experience, but not worth not being able to, first of all, not being able to put this on my shelf. I will not put this on my shelf. It's going to look very lopsided and weird on my shelf. So it's staying off the shelf. It's going to go into the closet where I have my other Image miscellaneous books. Because I have so many books from Image, that just from one publisher, that they can't fit on the shelves. Yeah, a year from now, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't want to think about what I'm going to do a year from now for my comic collection. But anyways, this collects 1 through 8, right? Yep, 1 through 8 of Stand Still is collected in this annoyingly printed comic. I don't like widescreen comics. That's a whole reason why it took me forever to get the last 2 books I'll show back to back. The Private Eye and Echolands. Now, Echolands is written by J.H. Williams III. And this one he actually did write. It's not like it's based off a classic novel. No, he actually wrote this. Originally his baby. So J.H. Williams III and W. Hayden Blackman are the co-creators and co-writers. So actually, they both wrote it. Cool. J.H. Williams is the art and design. Dave Stewart is the colorist. Why did I say cool for that? Well, I know this is co-authored. But yeah, again, the artwork, trying to show off the artwork justice on the video like this, it's kind of hard to do. You're gonna have to zoom in. There's no other way to do this. This is why I hate widescreen comics. They're just really annoying. Like, there's no real upside to widescreen comics. Even the presentation is like, you could do this really, okay, could you do it justice with an absolute edition comic? Debatable. But I feel like it could. Like, there's not been any time reading any comic where I've been like, this would be much more enjoyable as a widescreen comic. No. I'm sorry, I've never done that. Unless you're doing a comic about the Old West, and it's a duel, fine, that makes sense. But even then, why would they be that far apart unless you're going for a joke? Even then, it's, I don't know. Like, it's kind of silly, in my opinion. Alright, and the last one is Echolands. This collects 1 through 6, right? Yes, 1 through 6. It's, again, collected in this annoying format. Honestly, it's the worst format. It's even worse than Long Hot Summer with its tiny-ass booklet, pocketbook design. It's such a small book that I'm surprised I didn't make the joke back then when I was showing it off that I'd have to read it using a magnifying glass. It is a tiny, tiny book. Literally could fit in your pocket. Phones are bigger than that book is. And I'm not exaggerating. I'm talking height-wise. Like, it's like probably the size of this. It's a tiny-ass book. And I can read my phone just fine, so I knew it would be fine reading it. But I was like, really? That small? What's the point? But even that is manageable. That's fine. I have books. I have digest-sized books. So I have all those digest-sized books in the same spot. And, of course, I have books that are smaller than that also on the shelf. And you have a book called Valentine by Alex Acampi that I think literally is the size of my phone. It's that small. Like, width, length, all that. Height, all that. Length is not as there's length too. Anyways, last but not least, The Private Eye by Brian K. Vaughan with artwork by Marcos Martin and Muntza Vincenti. So same creative team behind Barrier. They both wanted to do the widescreen comics. That's kind of funny. Again, I'm not going to do it justice, but here you go. Best I can do. And this one does not collect any issues. This was originally presented in this Panel Syndicate. Yeah, on their online website called Panel Syndicate. You had to pay a subscription fee. I think it's still around to this day. 29 minutes. Might as well make it 30 minutes. But that, as I say, is that. A bunch of comics. Well, not a bunch of comics, because I got more last month. But a bunch of good comics. Here you go. Still doesn't make any sense, because I just said the same thing twice. I gotta put these books away, and I gotta still read. I got shit going on tonight, so we're gonna end this video now. No, we're not. We're a little bit longer. So that's all the comics. Oh, yeah, sorry, the one they didn't show off. Null Hunter by Michael Walsh. The trade. So damn excited to get that book. It's hopefully coming in tomorrow. I mean, anything can happen, but it's looking like it'll come in tomorrow. Although, shit has happened. But anyways, that, as I say, is that. So yeah, if I want to make the next video longer with my complete comic haul, I'll have to make that video an hour long. Or just copy and paste this video to the next video. So, okay, so I'll go off in the little post-credit scene. I'll explain why this pissed me off so much, how long this video was. I want this video to be quick. I want this video to be showing off what I got, and if I made a mistake, hey, that's for the final draft of the complete October 2025 comic and graphic novel haul video to make better. Because that's what I do. I do this video twice, technically. And I don't mind doing that because sometimes I do make mistakes. I already kind of made a couple mistakes here when I was like, oh, next one up, oh, we gotta do this one first. I consider, if anything, the perfect final draft is making no mistakes whatsoever. Maybe I'll mispronounce a last name because it's a foreigner or a first name, but other than that, good to go. Good to publish. 100% satisfied with it. Although 95%, because there's usually a couple things I forgot to mention or whatever. In the past, 5 months, I've forgotten to look at the back and see who gave this book praise. For example, for Bug Wars, a bunch of big names gave that book praise. I know Charles Soule was one, but I like mentioning that. Now, does it matter that much to me? Is that like a deal breaker? They think that people are not going to buy it until I mention, oh, Charles Soule said this book was good? No. It's the artwork, the writer, everything else that gets me into comics, into buying a comic, is what's going to do the same for another guy. Or another gal. Or another day. And everything in between. I get that. But I also like to mention it. I think it's cool. Philadelphia, Chris Rock gave that book praise. He read that book and liked it. And it's a graphic novel, too. I feel like graphic novels in general is the most slept on medium of entertainment ever. And I do mean ever. Because music is music is honestly, if anything, it's the most basic. That's one of the first questions you ask someone that you're interested in. Oh, what kind of music do you like? Oh, you like this artist. Oh, and I'm talking interested in friends and relationships. That's how icebreakers are able to be so effective, is because everyone has listened to music. What's harder is to say, what's your favorite graphic novel? What have you read recently? Just in general, what have you read recently is a pretty tough question to ask some people. Because some people, they don't have an answer to that. They were like, Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Yeah, when did you read that? 10 years ago. I haven't read anything since then. Yeah, that's why I'm not. I was going to say, that's why you're homeless. That's too far. And it's even tougher for graphic novels. Graphic novels is a medium that is, first of all, slept on, and second of all, unfairly put down. You read a comic book and you're a simpleton. Some people still think that to this day, and that was something people thought of way back in 1938 when Action Comics 1 first came out. You were considered to be less smart if you were seen reading Action Comics number 1. There's a joke about that in the Watchmen comic with the added bonus is Under the Red Hood, which is the only bonus that I read, by the way, of Watchmen this time around and the previous time around. The only time I read Watchmen all the way through, bonus included, was the first time I read it. But every time after that, I'm not bothered. But yeah, the Under the Red Hood stuff, and he's talking about reading Action Comics 1 for the first time. It's Hollis Mason. Hollis Mason talking about reading Action Comics 1 for the first time and how it inspired him to become the Hood. There's also other things, but there's a Hooded Justice. The Hood, I think it was just called. But anyways, well, the book's called, it's Hood Justice, because it's under the hood. That's the, yeah. Anyways, so, and that's true. Like, it's because Watchmen is so realistic, it's supposed to be so realistic that it seems like it takes place in our world, just with added superheroes. That he mentions how, like, he had to kind of lie to people, say, oh, I was just, trying to go with the kids and have a good relationship with kids and all that, blah blah blah. But he was actually enjoying reading Action Comics 1. He had to keep it secret. That is kind of how it is today. It's not as egregious. There are people that do read graphic novels, but it's like, oh yeah, Heartstopper. Oh yeah, I'm a true crime teacher, so I had to read the graphic novel My Friend Dahmer book. In that one, it's not accurate, but it's so hard to find someone that's into graphic novels that it's actually a surprise when that happens, and especially when it's not just Marvel and DC, the big two, and when they read stuff from Image and Dark Horse and Ablaze and Vault Comics, and they know who Sojourner Weaver is, or who that's Green Lantern. I was trying to, I think it is Sojourner Weaver, right? That's the last name. I know the first name was right because it's a weird first name, but they know who Jesse Custer is. That's Vertigo, not technically. They know who Kieran Gillen is as a writer, But that's a huge tangent. This video is 36 minutes long, and that's enough.